Hello, I'm Jacqueline Wilson. Thank you for visiting waterstones.com, where you can find my latest book, My Secret Diary. My Secret Diary is a sequel to my first volume of autobiography, Jacky Daydream. This time it's all about the year I was 14, and it's based on a real, very embarrassing diary that I kept then. And it tells you all about my best friends, my boyfriends, what I felt about my parents, school. It's got all the books that I loved reading, and most of all, there are so many extracts about all the stories I was desperate to write. I do hope you enjoy reading it. I've kept a diary on and off all my life. When I was a little girl, I had small schoolgirl diaries. I kept them in my sock drawer, madly thinking this was an amazingly inventive hiding place. I didn't really record any riveting secrets in my blotchy biro. Mummy bought me a girl comic. I think Joan of Arc is wonderful. Daddy and I went for a walk and I pretended to be a pony. I didn't write at length in a proper journal until I was in my teens. I read the Diary of Anne Frank and then reread it so many times I could quote whole passages by heart. I especially love the parts where Anne says she wants to be a writer when she grows up. I identified so strongly with that longing. I ached for Anne because she never had the chance to fulfill her huge potential. However, she also wrote that she wanted to be remembered after her death, and of course millions around the world read her wonderful diary. I knew this perfectly well, but I still somehow felt she was writing her diary just for me, confiding all her secret fears and hopes and dreams. I slept with my pink pan paperback copy of Anne's diary under my pillow, and I kept a picture of her on my bedside table. I'd sometimes whisper to her at night. I'd seen a photo of the actual red and white check notebook that was Anne's first diary. I longed to own a similar notebook. Stationery was pretty dire back in the late 50s and early 60s. There was no such thing as paper chase. I walked round and round the stationery counter in Woolworths and spent most of my pocket money on notebooks, but they weren't strong on variety. You could have shiny red sixpenny notebooks lined inside with strange maths details about rods and poles and perches on the back. I never found out what they were. Then you could have shiny blue sixpenny notebooks, etc. That was your lot. I was enchanted to read in Dodie Smith's novel I Capture the Castle that the heroine, Cassandra, was writing her diary in a similar sixpenny notebook. She eventually progressed to a shilling notebook. My Woolworths rarely stocked such expensive luxuries. Then, 2/3 of the way through the book, Cassandra is given a 2-guinea red leather manuscript book. I lusted after that fictional notebook for years. I told my mother, Biddy. She rolled her eyes. It could have cost 200 guineas. Both were way out of our league. Could I maybe have a special journal for my Christmas present? I begged. Can't you use one of the notepads Harry brings home from work? She asked. My dad, Harry, was a civil servant. One of the few perks of his job was that he had an unlimited illegal supply of notepads, watermarked S.O., stationery office. I'd drawn on these pads for years. I'd scribbled stories, I'd written letters. They were serviceable but unexciting, thin cream paper, unreliably bound at the top with glue. You couldn't write a journal in one of these notepads. It would fall apart in days. I need proper covers for my secret journal. I want it to be completely private, I said. Biddy scoffed at me. She didn't believe in privacy, especially where I was concerned. But she was always inventive with my Christmas presents, even though we had very little money. She rose to the journal challenge. On Christmas Day 1959, when I was just 14, she gave me a book, The Devil and Mary Ann by Catherine Cookson. I'd read the first 2 books about this tough little Tyneside girl and loved them. A film-goer's annual with a special feature on Dirk Bogarde, a pair of American tan nylons, and my first white lace suspender belt, a Yardley pressed powder compact in a gilt case, and a proper journal. It wasn't quite a red leather to guinea job. It was grey plastic and it didn't cost a penny. Biddy worked as a bookkeeper for Prince Machines. They supplied some of these machine tools to Thailand. Their customers sent them a diary as a seasonal token. The lettering was all Thai and therefore meaningless to me, but it was easy enough to work out which page was 1st of January. I was thrilled with my diary. It was the size of a book, so that I had quite a lot of room to write in.